She's done nothing. Allison spills 28 staffs using Voicechanger take turns interviewing podcast guests for Meg. Proof Meghan doesn't speak to all other podcast guests. Journalist who appeared on Archetypes thanks production company employee for being an excellent interviewer. Remember Oprah Winfrey's bombshell interview with Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, in which she stroked the subjects' egos and failed to probe them on any of their hyperbolic claims? Well, Cockburn has found an even worse interviewer than Oprah, Meghan Markle. Listening to Archetypes, Meghan's podcast about dissecting labels, Cockburn found it a little weird that the guests never spoke over each other. You'd think that as the interviewees they'd try and get a word in edgeways through Meghan's babbling. After labelling the show a candid conversation, it seems the conversation is actually happening without Meghan. So that's why Smeg needs 28 people to do her podcasts. She speaks to the main celebrity guest, and minions speak to the minion guests. Every time. Even a confidential source from a Spotify employee revealed that Meghan actually only does 10% of the work. All of the podcasts without illustrations are recorded via telephonic communication. And surprisingly, the staff virtually spoke for Meghan, interviewing and questioning for the Duchess, and used a voiceover converter that most closely resembled Meghan. That's why all the listeners felt that the Duchess's voice sounded weird and out of the ordinary. It was edited and distorted. One of Meghan Markle's podcast guests has apparently revealed that she didn't actually speak to the Duchess of Sussex for the show on an Instagram post. Allison Yarrow from New York appeared on the Duchess's show last week in an episode called To Be or Not to Be, and how it applied to women in the public sphere in the 90s. In clips from the show, the journalist's comments are edited between comments from Meghan herself. However, in a social media post from August, Allison shared a photograph of herself in front of a sign for Gimlet, an audio production house, before thanking a producer, Farah Safari, for being an excellent interviewer. While Allison appeared not to have spoken to Meghan for the episode, some guests, such as Meghan's close friends Melody Hobson, Jamila Jamil, and Serena Williams, are featured having conversations with the Duchess on the podcast. In the Instagram post, which was shared as the first episode of the series came out in August, Allison wrote, "Excited to be included in the visionary series hosted by Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, that aims to dissect and subvert the archetypes that hold women back. Cheers to producer at Farah Safari, an excellent interviewer, and the folks at Gimlet at Spotify who get it done." On the producer Farah Safari's LinkedIn, she reveals she's been working for Gimlet since February as an associate producer. The clips have been cleverly cut between comments of Meghan, so it's not immediately apparent that the Duchess may not have spoken to the experts herself. So now I seriously wonder how they're going to keep this going, when we just found out that with a staff of a gazillion people and huge payment to the dimwits, that they don't even interview all of their guests live. Cuts and edits doesn't need a huge staff. Shouldn't it cost $1 million less to air this show? Someone please tell me the podcast has finally died. That explains 28 producers, so they interview not so important people separately and then edit it to include Meghan's personal stories. Sounds like a lot of work to me.